The 2000 PBA season is winding down tonight. We're in Austin, Texas. It's the Pro Bowlers Tour on ESPN. Let's meet our finalists. Our tournament leader, holder of 7 PBA titles. However, he hasn't won in over 2 years. He averaged better than 225 this week from Baltimore, Danny Wiseman. Our second seed, he's captured 24 titles, including 2 this year. The reigning PBA Player of the Year from Jackson, New Jersey, Parker Bohn III. Our third-seeded qualifier, and what a year he's had, making his 11th TV appearance. Still in the hunt for PBA Player of the Year from Wichita, Kansas, Chris Bohn. In the number 4 position, a sensational amateur player in search of his first PBA championship from Mexico City, Patrick Healey, Jr. For the 17th year, the sport's top players have rolled into Austin, Texas. We're at Highland Lane for the championship round of the Columbia 300 Open. Hi, everyone. I'm Phil Ferguson. Great to have you part of the program for the next 60 minutes. That's right. It's an hour telecast tonight. A little bit different format. 4 players in our opening match. Players seated number 2, 3, and 4 will bowl 1 match. The winner moves right into that championship match to take on Danny Wiseman for the Columbia 300 Open title. My partner, where is he? Oh, he's down on the lane. Let me send it on over to my partner, Marshall Holman. Marsh?
Thanks, Phil. We're trying something a little bit different this evening. Our lanes are oiled to 33 feet and then buffed down to 42. We have different colored material down the lane to show you the different break points. The green material is from 35 to 40 feet, the yellow from 40 to 45, and the red from 45 to 50 feet. This will enable us to show you the break point of the different players this evening. Now, the only thing we know for sure is that Parker Bohn III's ball is going to be breaking in from the left side to the right. Other than that, we'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, yeah, and we are ready from Austin, Texas, a site of a Marshall Holman win a while back. Right, Marsh?
1983.
Quite a while.
Fond memories of Highland Lane.
Well, you bowled great in Texas, won a couple of tournaments in Grand Prairie, and here in Austin now Chris Barnes out of Wichita, Kansas. Opening shot. Oh, right there, Marshall.
Not playing a lot of break. Foul in the pocket. And Barnes, who has bowled great this year, but has yet to win a championship, really wants it today.
Well, interesting Player of the Year. I mean, ballots for Player of the Year have not yet gone out. I guess we can put it in the too close to call category. Parker Bohn still has a shot. He told me he had to win both this week and next week to have a real shot at winning Player of the Year. Not a good start.
Well, ball breaking in high. He's got the 2-4 on the left side of the lane, the 6-10 on the right. You'll watch the ball. It's going to break right through the heart of the lane, right through the heart of the pin, excuse me, and leaving a wide open split. Now he needs to get his ball to the left-hand side of that 2-pin and then knock the 2-pin into the 4, the 6, and the 10. I'll get it right.
13 of 85 splits converted this year on TV, just 15%. Got it, though.
That's exactly, it's a lot easier to Parker to make that split than it is for me to tell you what the numbers are on the pin. I'm so used to thinking your right-handed turns. What a great shot from Parker Bohn. You'll see the ball. It's going to hit just the left side of the 2-pin. Bang 6, bang 10. Goodbye spare. Easy for Parker Bohn III.
Now we get a look at Patrick Healey, Jr. He's been out here 3 years, out of Mexico City. 32. Great amateur player. Still trying to win that first title.
Ball's off. Yeah, ball coming in light, leaving the 2 and the 8. Watch the ball as it goes down the lane. Now we're going to show where the break point is right here. It's about at coming in just after 50 feet and coming in a little bit late. He'll need to get that ball rolling up just a little bit sooner. He can do that with the roll fill, or he can do it with a little less speed.
Beautiful. What a beautiful style, Patrick Healey.
Very smooth. Very smooth style for Healey, and this man coming up has a very athletic style. With that high back swing. Talking about Chris Barnes.
Well, he won from the number 2 and number 3 spot last year. This is his 11th show this year. Has not won. All the talent in the world. And there's a double. And Marshall, I know that Chris Barnes, well, you got to go back. I think when you won Player of the Year and did not capture a title, I think Pete Weber had 2 victories that year, and yet you still won it.
Yeah, but take a look at Chris Barnes watching the ball roll down the lane. Will the 10-pin fall? Yes, it does. And when I won with the no titles in '87, it was a whole different scenario back then. Solid 7 pins for Bohn. There just weren't. There wasn't a real dominant player in that year. I had all the statistical categories covered, but didn't win a tournament. And Weber had a couple of wins, but I guess it was just my time.
It's the 7-pin.
Well, if he can make that split, 7-pin should be a gimme. Give it to him.
Healey up in the second frame. Once again, just 4 players on tonight's telecast. The winner of this match right into the championship game. Stick around.
Came in light on lane 19. Has to be careful, doesn't come in high on 20. Perfectly shot. It's a beautiful, beautiful shot on lane 20. Up. We'll see the ball breaking in a little bit earlier, about 49 feet. Watch the 6-pin knocking into the 10. As you can see, Barnes, 2 strikes, got 11-pin lead over Parker. Bohn the third, and a 10-pin lead over Patrick Healey.
Take a look at Barnes, who can play any angle on the lane.
He's not hooking the ball as much as he normally likes to, but he does have a lot of different games. He can throw it straight. He can hook it a lot.
Oh, that's a swing.
He's getting pumped up early. He doesn't like the fact that he's made all those telecasts and hasn't won this year.
He went through almost 2-year period where you win. That's got to weigh on your mind a little bit.
Ball's going to end up high flush in the pocket. Pretty tough not to knock them all down when your ball hits there. But he has to keep adjusting. The lanes will break down during the evening. Now coming in high once again on lane 20.
This 6 is a little more difficult.
Yeah, that 6 a lot more difficult. Parker made the last split on lane 20, but with the 4, 6, 7, 10, chances of making this very, very slim. Once again, his ball breaking through the center of the pins. Doesn't break it down. He's going for it, and he comes up short, just getting 7.
So Parker Bohn now with that open. Ball's way behind now. Chris Barnes, who has started this first match with 3 in a row, and Patrick Healey a spare strike, and Healey now up in the 3rd frame.
Well, they're having a problem with lane 20. The machine did not reset, but now they've taken care of that. Healey came in light in the first shot on lane 19. And Parker came in high on lane 22 times. Will Healey make the proper adjustment to get his ball into the pocket on 19 and put pressure on Chris Barnes?
Well, he loves it here at Highland Lanes. And
he threw it slower. He slowed the ball speed down. Was able to get the break point proper. Ball gets right into the pocket, and that man right there has a 10-pin lead. Chris Barnes.
we are back in Austin. And, boy, great crowds all week long. Always great to come here to Highland Lanes. And Chris Barnes, boy, out of the gate with 3 strikes.
And looking to increase that lead to 20 pins over Patrick Healey with a strike here in the 4th frame.
Barnes, boy, look at that. 10 straight TV appearances without a title this year. That is a record that he wished he didn't have.
No doubt. Got the ball further right, but it comes back. But he wasn't sure, Phil, when he let that ball go, if that was going to hook back or not. Kind of a pleasant surprise.
Boy, up quickly. 4 straight strikes. Now Bohn trying to figure it out. He's the defending champion.
Yeah, better figure it out right now. He's trailing by a lot. There's the first strike for Parker Bohn.
That 8-pin wanted to stick around, but beautiful shot off the hand of Parker Bohn.
And he left many solid 8s. The ball driving through the pocket, missing the 8-pin on what seemingly looked like a perfect shot in the qualifying and match play portions of the tournament. Trying to become the 4th new titleist this year. And putting the pressure squarely on the shoulders of Chris Barnes.
Barnes taking a deep breath and kind of goes through a routine. I think most players go through a certain routine.
Well, it's very important to keep a pre-shot routine. It helps to settle yourself down so that you can make the good shot.
He's made 4 good shots up in the 5th.
Messenger shot takes care of the 10-pin. Take a look at the power on this ball as it rolls down the lane. Watch the head pin going left to the sideboard, then bang, right into the 10-pin.
Parker Bohn up in the 5th really needs to start stringing them.
His trouble lane. There he goes. It's not too late for Bohn, but it'd be an amazing comeback.
Well, some amateurs bowled this week, Marshall, and pretty difficult for the AMs.
Well, you take a look at Malott, Ivy, and McDuff. You know, they've got great averages in their league play, but when they come out of the PBA and bowl on these conditions, Malott 199, then 180 for Ivy, and 175 for McDuff, it's the conditions that really make the difference. It's not just the pressure, but that's some of it too, but it's conditions mostly.
10-pin.
10-pin wiggles, but doesn't fall over for Healey. Disappointed. He liked the shot off his hand, but take a look as it breaks back into the pocket. The 6-pin lays in the channel, and it touches it, but it just won't nudge it out. He tries to use a little body English to get it to fall over, but he'll have to settle for the spare.
He'll have to spare the All-American at Wichita State University. Again, he has just had he had a great amateur career. Still looking for that first win, and a little bit more difficult out on the Pro Tour as we take a look at the scoreboard.
Well, Chris Barnes, perfect through 5 frames, has a 19-pin lead over Patrick Healey and 48 over Parker Bohn III.
Barnes up in the 6th frame, all strikes.
Trying to distance himself a little further from his competition.
Boy, tenacious.
How's that look? That's scary. That's intense. Ball over the 4th arrow, going out to about 13. Break point is getting pretty late down the lane, around the 45 to 50-foot mark, and he's down on one knee because he knows the ball's perfect. He loves it. A little extra stare down. Parker now with 3 strikes of his own. Great attitude for Bohn. Never gives up.
Healey now up in the 6th frame. He started off with a spare 3 in a row, and then a spare. Still trails Chris Barnes.
And he trails Chris Barnes by 21 pins. Barnes with the first 6. He's in control right now here in Austin.
Well, coming up tonight after bowling a rematch of 1999 Stanley Cup Finals. Brett Hall and the Dallas Stars head to Buffalo. Be a good one, taking on Dominic Hasek and the Sabres, and that is coming up right after bowling tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And for more, log on to ESPN.com. And talk about hockey stars. They have that look, and the same look Chris Barnes has, and has had since he's come out on tour. Chris Barnes up with 6 in a row.
Well, the intense Chris Barnes, perfect through 6 frames, 48 over Bohn and 31 over Healey. And there's Chris Barnes on the left. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Linda Barnes on the left.
Yeah. 7th frame. All strikes so far for Barnes.
That won't get there. The 1, the 2, the 8. He asked for this ball to hook. It didn't come up. Ball off to the right, hits the oily part of the lane, does not get to the break point. And I guarantee you, he's more upset with the fact that he gave a chance away to strike than he is with missing the 300. You always want to give yourself an opportunity. Good spare. Still finds himself in a good position.
Nice shot.
31 pins up.
Still has a comfortable lead at this point. But Parker Bohn now with 3 straight strikes after he struggled early in this first match. 7th frame, working on 3. That's 4.
Don't count him out.
Last year's player of the year saying to this year's player of the year, possibly this year's player of the year, Chris Barnes. Hey, it's not over.
Come on, Parker, don't be so nervous.
And Healey with a clean game, a spare, 3 in a row, a spare and a strike.
And what's in the bag for Patrick Healey? It's the Columbia Rock Star. It's gold on the label. Let's get about 40 feet and then flip, and it didn't flip. He leaves the 1, 2, 4, and the 10. And now we'll get a chance to look at his spare ball. The Columbia 300 Extreme Chaos. Watch the break point of this shot. It goes way down the lane. Doesn't start coming back till after the 50-foot mark. Not a difficult spare to make. Ball left of the head pin. Knock the head pin into the 10. Got too much of the head pin, and you know, sometimes it just takes one bad shot, especially late in the game, to really knock you right out of the running. Look where Parker's come from nowhere to being right back into this match.
Barnes in the 8th. And just a 10 pin.
Doesn't get the messenger strike coming back. Ball hooking back into the pocket. Pretty straight trajectory. Head pin goes to the sideboard, but doesn't come all the way back. He's trying to make that 10. The lanes are going through the transition, Phil. They change as the bowlers throw the ball. The oil piggybacks on the ball and goes down to the other side of the lane. So the front of the lane starts hooking more, and the back ends, they actually tighten up. Don't hook as much.
Well, Bohn in the 8th, 4 in a row, and he started off slowly, picked up a split in the first frame, a spare in the second, and open in the third. Another one here, Marshall, and knocking on the board.
Oh, yeah, Parker Bohn feeling it. Well, what a great mental attitude he has. It's just amazing he can come from being so far down early as this ball just drives into the 1-2 pocket. 7 pin gets knocked out by the 4.
Healey. 8th frame.
237. The best that Healey can shoot. Tickles him over. Fortunate. Really needed to have something good happen. Now there's our scoreboard. You can see Parker Bohn the third with 5 strikes in a row. Getting himself closer and closer.
Barnes now. Possible 266.
There we go. That's better. All right.
Close the rack.
You think they don't know when they throw the ball well? As soon as that ball was off of Barnes' hand, he was doing the commentating. He's saying, okay, that's it. And it was. Didn't get the ball as far to the right. Kept it on line. Powerful strike.
Just won the Japan Cup 4 times back the past couple of years. And another one.
Oh, my gosh. Solid 10. Terrible break for Bohn. And look, he's smiling. Kind of a wry smile.
I need to take this lane home with me.
Boy, Marshall, I thought he had that when he put her deep into the pocket.
Yeah, well, just too much. A little high in the pocket and a lot of power. And unfortunately for Bohn, sometimes the great shots don't strike.
Thought it was good.
When Bohn walked back, and Barnes was shaking his head. He couldn't believe it either.
Healey, World Amateur Bowler of the Year in 1995 and 96, former member of Team USA. Steady all week long.
for any chance. He must strike here in the 9th. And he leads a solid 9.
Good adjustment.
Well, it actually was a good adjustment. It came in light, did not hit the head pin the last time, made the proper adjustment. Watch the ball as it hooks past the 9 pin. Never even comes close to it. Now, that's a shot that's a result of the equipment. The ball just drives so hard with the new dynamic equipment.
It's going to be much time.
And he makes the spare, but right now it's all in this man's hand. Chris Barnes. 231, the best that Bohn can shoot. Chris Barnes just needs to stay behind the line.
Does that, and the strike as the 8-pin lightly falls. Chris Barnes with a double, and we understand we're having a little bit of breakup video, and trying to correct the problem, but there's no breakup whatsoever. Chris Barnes' game tonight. Boy, Barnes, you look at Marshall, the way he holds the ball, but getting to play so many different angles, going a little bit straighter tonight. Just the 10-pin, that's all right.
Well, there's a smile from Barnes. He knows he's taking care of the business in the first match. He will be going against Danny Wiseman in the championship match. The reaction of Barnes. He says, that's okay. Sigh of relief.
255 for Chris Barnes, who will move now into the title match. Parker Bohn will finish out his game, as will Patrick Healey Jr. And Chris Barnes, Mars, we talked about it before, but you went through this a couple of years where you just didn't win a tournament and had trouble winning on TV. Barnes?
You know, and sometimes it's a combination of many things. You know, Barnes has bowled some great games and just been bettered by whoever he was competing against that day. And then other times he's had a chance to come through and hasn't been able to do it. So he really wants to get it done. He's upset with the fact that he's had so many opportunities and hasn't stepped through to capture the win this year. And he thinks it's his time. But, you know, Danny Wiseman's going to have a lot to say about that.
Well, for Barnes, a win today could vault him to the top of the list for Player of the Year, even though Norm Duke has won 3 titles this year. So really, again, a very close race with 1 week to go next week in the Houston area.
Well, Norm Duke finished 26th this week, so didn't make the match play.
Parker finishes with 231.
You'll see Parker, who's in 8th place, and he'll stay there on the all-time title list.
That's all I want to end.
I didn't see your name up there. Well, you're 22. You're not on that first page.
No, I tried to make a deal with the guys in graphics, but they said they just ran out of room.
Those ballots are tough to read. Almost picked it up. Oh, Patrick Healey. Great style, but again, he'll be there because he is just a fine player. When we come back, Marshall Holman, my partner, will be talking with newest member of the PBA Hall of Fame, Parker Bohn III. Chris Barnes, the winner of Match 1 here from Highland Lanes in Austin. Well, the final score of our opening match, and it was all Chris Barnes. Started off with the first 6, added a couple later strikes, finishes with a 255. Parker Bohn 231, and Patrick Healey at 193. So Chris Barnes will move into our title match. Well, when you're not watching the PBA Tour, be sure and spend all your spare time on the PBA's dynamic new website, PBA.com. Click your way through all the latest PBA news and information. Follow your favorite players through the rest of the 2000 season. And really a great site that contains up-to-date statistics, player bios, the latest happenings from the national, senior, and regional tours, and even talk to fellow PBA fans in the PBA chat room. All of this and more at PBA.com. And now, Marshall with some other finishers this week.
Well, we'll take a look at some of the other finishers. And we have Jason Couch. He won last week's Tournament of Champions, so having another good week, just missing in the 6th position. And Mike Albee, the great Hall of Famer from Indianapolis, finishing 9th, coming up a little bit short himself. There's Brian Voss. And Brian Voss, every week he's been close. Now, he did make the finals a couple of weeks ago. He finishes 14th. Good-looking Tommy DeLutz finishing 19th, unable to really find the magic in match play. And the powerful one from Tarpon Springs, Florida, Steve Hoskins, 23rd.
All right, now it is time for our Score More with Brunswick tip. Here's my partner, Marshall Holman, with a very special guest.
Joining me this week is Parker Bohn III, the newest member of the PBA's Hall of Fame. And Parker, what exactly does the Hall of Fame mean to you?
Well, Marshall, to be honest, to be in the PBA Hall of Fame with players such as yourself, the great Earl Anthony, Mark Roth, it's honestly a feat unimaginable. I can't believe it.
Now, if you could pick out one moment, one particular tournament in your career, what's a special time for you?
Oh, my. A special time for me, I believe, would have to be last fall when I beat Walter A. Williams in the Canandaigua Open. To me, that was the cap-off to being PBA Player of the Year. That really means the most.
Now, after being such a great player for so many years, I'm going to give you the opportunity to give a tip to our viewers watching this evening.
I think the best tip I can give any bowler is to don't dwell on a negative. Only continue to think about a positive. When you think about a positive, you're going to repeat a positive, and I can tell you right now, the sky's the limit from there.
All right, thanks a lot, Parker. And that's our Hall of Fame tip for the week.
Where's Marshall Holman?
I'm right here, aren't I?
Let me see here.
Wait a minute, I'm everywhere.
One is enough, and Halloween has passed. All righty, our championship match when we come back should be an exciting one. Chris Barnes will take on our tournament leader, Danny Wiseman. An enthusiastic crowd here at Highland Lanes in Austin, the Columbia 300 Open. And Marshall, we are set for the title match. Chris Barnes taking on Danny Wiseman, and something has to give. Wiseman hasn't won in over 2 years, 10 straight shows since he last won in Portland. And Chris Barnes, of course, has not won this year.
And we'll see if Barnes can keep the magic going from the last game. And I believe the runners go from second to third. That was a balk.
Been clapping over there somewhere.
Something distracted Barnes. And he does that with some frequency where he heard someone clapping, so...
Boy, it's tough to hold up with that.
Yeah, he's strong.
Ball coming through like that. First frame, title match.
Solid 10. Now he'll switch balls, throw it very hard and very straight.
No problem with the 10 pin. Just won 300 game this week. Ryan Goebel in the fourth round of the tournament. Goebel, pretty good player. 9 wins, including the Brunswick World TFC, but just the one perfect game this week. Danny Wiseman, first shot. Title match.
Going with more hook. And a solid shot to open up the championship game. Still sporting his retro look. And getting a lot of comments. People like it.
Yep. Out of Baltimore, 33 years old. Been out here 11 years. Really a nice fall swing. 4th in Canandaigua, 14th at the Johnny Petraglia Open in North Brunswick, 3rd in Erie, 9th in Indy, 12th last week in the TFC, and here he is on the TV show. Boy, look at that stuff.
So the early double. Not a lot of emotion. It's early in the match. Take a look at the beautiful form of Danny Wiseman. Nice push away, shoulder high backswing, good knee bend. Well, I'll tell you, that is a great looking shot. Let's take a look at the eyes, staring it down.
Barnes answers with a strike after a spare in the first frame.
Now let's take a look at the lane conditions for today, Phil. As you can see, the red is for the oil that's applied going down, and the blue is the oil going in the reverse direction, the heavier oil. The white is the lightest. Now, it kind of looks as if the lanes are walled up, but trust me, it's a very difficult pattern this week, a Christmas tree, but it's not a heavy concentration Christmas tree.
You can bowl in anything. And it is a double. Right back after that spare in the first frame.
Ball hit the 19 board at the arrows. Watch the 6-pin, knock out the 10. Just watching the 10-pin right now. He sees it fall.
That's 3 in a row as Wiseman kicks out the 10-pin.
Well, I watched him bowl last night, and everybody was struggling with the amount of bowlers that were bowling in the match play. The oil was just almost completely taken off the lane, and they were throwing the ball over the gutter caps deep inside. Not as many bowlers today. The lanes hold up a little longer.
17th year that Highland Lanes has hosted a PBA event. Some of the past winners, of course, Parker Bohn, the defending champion. Walter Ray Williams a couple of years ago. Danny, pretty tough in title matches, 7-2. And we go down to 83. Marshall Holman, I believe he broke a losing string right here in Austin.
It was quite a relief.
Wiseman picks it up, and Danny Wiseman with another strike. So it is Wiseman out to the early lead over Chris Barnes. Well, the LPGA Tour heads to Daytona Beach, Florida. Kari Webb looks to become the first woman to top the $2 million mark in earnings for a year. However, defending champion Sari Pak will have something to say about it. The top 30 on the LPGA money list will battle it out. Coverage begins tomorrow at 3 p.m. on ESPN. Always fun to watch the ladies. I picked up, I think, more from the ladies tour than the men's tour.
Well, they hit the ball more like the average guys do. And well, Webb, what a year, Tiger-esque.
Now, just that 10-pin separates Wiseman and Barnes. Barnes left a 10 in the opening frame, picked it up 2 strikes. Now in the 4th.
Coming in high and knocking the 4 and the 9 out. What a fortunate shot. Well, he pulled that ball just a little bit left of his target. Didn't appear the ball went as far to the right. And it doesn't. It goes much straighter down the lane. Now it starts hooking in. And the 4 and the 9 fortunately collapse for Barnes. Keeps him just 10 pins. 10 pins down to Wiseman.
And another one.
Now they're all even. Now as the bowling progresses, the break point actually moves further towards the foul line. Take a look at the form. Chris Barnes, very high backswing, good solid athletic knee bend, great follow through. And you know he's going to love this.
Wiseman right there. So Danny Wiseman with the first 5. Barnes is sparing 4 in a row.
Wiseman 10-pin lead. What a great opening 5 frames to this title match. Only 1 spare, and that was a solid 10-pin left in the first frame by Chris Barnes.
Wiseman ranked in the 9th in the PBA World Power Rankings, 17 cashes and 18 tournaments this year, tied with Chris Barnes.
Well, you're looking at 2 of the premier players on the Pro Bowlers Tour today. Something must have distracted Wiseman. And that's what I would do. If I get distracted, I put the ball down, start it all over again.
Last stop. Take your time.
I think you heard a youngster crying, a baby crying in the crowd.
Well, Danny told me the last time he made the show he's going to approach it a little bit differently. If something bothers, he's going to take as much time to feel comfortable once again on the lanes instead of maybe hurrying up just a bit. And now he has stepped off and trying to make it 6 in a row.
Boy, he really composed himself. Makes the great shot in the 6th frame. Let's take a look at the break point of Wiseman. It's coming at about 51 feet. Will they carry? That's all he's thinking about, right? He knows the ball's going to be in the pocket, but will all 10 fall? And they do. To stay close. Ball coming up high once again on lane 20. That's the same lane he took the 4 and the 9 out on. Now, I'll bet you that he made an adjustment, moved further to the left, but did not make a big enough adjustment Ball hooking in just a tad high. He needs some help right now, and he doesn't get it. It's the 4-pin.
No trouble picking up the spare. We talked about Barnes, tied with Danny Wiseman. Casher's 17 tournaments this year. His first match play appearances with 16, and first in TV appearances with 11 as we take a look at the score. It's Danny Wiseman.
He's up by 21 pins, and Barnes just destroying everybody on tour statistically, but without a victory this year.
Oh, hook a bunch.
Lost it to the right off his hand. Immediately, as soon as that ball left his hand, he knew it wasn't right. Take a look at the release. It seemed to just slip off his hand to the right, and he knows now it's a bad shot. Ball's going to come in light. The 1, 2, 4, and 10, and boy, you have to look at the 7th frame as a must mark situation. Ball floats in high.
There's two pretty poor efforts.
So that could be the frame that does in Chris Barnes. We'll have to wait and see. Danny Wiseman, though, with the first 6 strikes here in the title match. And we are going to be wrapping up the fall tour of the season. A special Saturday afternoon telecast for you. The PBA concludes its year in the greater Houston area as Pasadena Diamond Lanes plays host to the inaugural Lone Star Open. Once again, a week from Saturday. Danny Wiseman, the first 6. A couple of things to look after, and I would imagine, Marcia, you being a player, getting that title means more maybe than the 300 game and some extra cash.
Well, it does mean more, but right now with Barnes throwing an open frame in the 7th frame, Wiseman can start thinking about the possibility of 300.
Boy, 35 and 21 in front of the lights for Wiseman. Is it going to be 7? Yes.
Yes, it is. Boy, he's got the ball rolling up nicely. Takes a couple of deep breaths. Watch this ball as it breaks back into the pocket. Late, after 50 feet. Powerful strike. Oh, he's really got it now. He's loving this. This is a fun time for Wiseman because he really is in complete control of the match. Chris Barnes with a 2:43 maximum game as Wiseman takes a re-rack. Wiseman right now already into the 250s if he were just to spare out.
Again, it's been over 2 years. The last one in Portland, I believe he was top seeded in that event.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Wiseman, loving life right now. 8 strikes in a row.
And for a perfect game, an extra $10,000. Chris Barnes in the 8th frame.
Strike for Barnes.
Well, defending champion Andre Agassi expected to lead the field as the tennis tour heads to Paris. Early round coverage begins tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock on ESPN. And stay with ESPN right through the championship finals on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
And for Barnes, 243. And 243 would win a lot of title matches, but it's Wiseman's night. 4 strikes away from the $10,000 for the 300, but the money's nice, but it's the history of becoming one of the select few to shoot 300 on television.
9th frame for Wiseman.
And he leads the 4, the 6, the 7, the 10, the 300 is gone, and now all of a sudden there's still a slight opportunity as we watch this ball go right through the heart. There's the 4, 6, 7, 10. Wiseman will just go for the count. He needs to mark in the 10th frame to shut this match out. He knew that was a bad shot all the way.
Going for the count. But Marshall, that's right. You know, Danny needs a mark, and it's his tournament. But Barnes sitting there thinking maybe really don't have a shot now.
Well, if Wiseman were to throw an open frame, get 9 on this frame, that'd be 241. Barnes can shoot 243, and I guarantee you, if he does open the door, well, you'll see Barnes pop out of his chair in a second. Just needs a spare and a couple of pins. More speed.
And the 10th pin.
Boy, put a lot of excitement back into the match because it was over after the first 8 strikes. This ball rolling a little faster down the lane, catches a little bit of the head pin, leaving just the 10, and now it's as simple as Wiseman picking up the 10 pin. Barnes certainly knows the score.
Wiseman, certainly you don't get here without picking up all your spares.
Great spare shooter. Switching to a harder ball. That's it. He put some excitement back into it. All right, he knows he just needs to stay behind the line, get a couple of pins, and the title will be his.
Yeah, 2 pins, and Danny Wiseman picks up his 8th national championship.
And more frustration for that man, Chris Barnes. There's the title. There's your winner, Danny Wiseman.
Well, he is really bold. I mean, Chris Barnes is bold well all year. Danny Wiseman is bold great on the fall tour and wins here the 2000 Columbia 300 Open.
All right. Wiseman, I'll tell you, it's been a while since he's won. And I know the feeling when you haven't won in a few years, even though he's been up there high week in and week out, until you actually get it done, until you walk through the door, you don't know if you can.
And the frustration continues, as you mentioned, for Chris Barnes. Another week. We have 1 tournament left. That's next week, next Saturday, a week from Saturday. Chris Barnes, after he fired a 255 in the semifinal match, again, the lanes change quickly.
Well, they do, and Barnes didn't make the adjustment fast enough in this right-hand lane. Now, in the 10th frame, he's just getting up there and getting the business over with. But, you know, you've got to give all the credit to Danny Wiseman. Starts out with the first 8 strikes in a row, makes a little bit of excitement in the 9th frame, but he took care of business. He's your winner. Congratulations, Danny Wiseman.
The Professional Bowlers Tour on ESPN is brought to you by Columbia 300. Columbia bowls the world over. And the winner, Danny Wiseman, he comes through big time with that 252 to Chris Barnes' 232. Congratulations, Danny Wiseman, your 8th victory. It's been a while since your last one.
Yeah, just call me the 2.5-year kid, because it's been 2.5 years, and before that it was 2.5 years. So I would really love to thank everyone at Columbia 300 for your sponsorship. You know, it's without these companies we wouldn't be here right now. I'd like to thank Highland Lanes, John Donovan, and the entire staff. You guys did a tremendous job this week, and I look forward to coming back here. Let me tell you, you guys are great.
All right. All right, before the presentation, let's send it on over to my partner, Marshall Holman. Marsh?
All right, thank you very much, Phil. I'm here with Chris Barnes, and it seemed like the right-hand lane just gave you a little bit of trouble. Then you made the one bad shot in the 7th frame, and right there, that was pretty much the game.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't giving the pocket away nearly as much as Pat and Danny. I hadn't been able to get it back all week, actually. And that right lane hooked more. And I got fooled there and left the 4-pin. And the right lane was one that was tight, and I knew I couldn't get it right, and I just made a really bad pitch after the 4-pin. Opened the door up and pretty much handed the match to Danny, but it was a great game.
All right, well, you've got one more week to get the job done, get that first win for year 2000. Still a great year from Chris Barnes, and we'll give it back to you, Phil.
I present to you the 2000 300 championship trophy. Congratulations, Danny.
Thank you very much, Roger. You guys are great. Thank you.
All right. Of course, along with the trophy goes a little money. All right. Let's bring in John Donovan, general manager here at Highland Lanes. Once again.
To make this tournament possible, I'd like to present you this check for $20,000. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you. God, I don't know what to say. You know, I just, this is just, you know, it's been so long. I've made so many shows, and, you know, you just keep pushing yourself to keep going. and it's wonderful. I love it.
Well, you had the tournament pretty well wrapped up late in the game, shooting for a 300, and at least it wasn't a 10-pin.
That's true. A little soft there for the big four, but I didn't even know what frame it was. You know, I thought about going back to the way I used to ball on TV. Don't even look at the score. Don't watch my opponent. And I've gotten out of that mode, and I did that today. I looked up, and, you know, at big four, I didn't even know what frame it was. So, you know, I just try to make good shots.
Congratulations, Danny Wiseman, your champion. Join us a week from Saturday for the final telecast of the 2000 season. The tour stays in Texas for the Lone Star Open from Diamond Lanes in Pasadena. Coming up next on ESPN, National Hockey Night, the Dallas Stars versus the Buffalo Sabres. For Marshall Holman, I'm Phil Ferguson. We'll see you next time. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.